Yeah, I haven't made a video in a while because I just felt like I just kind of felt like whatever. But anyway, I'm looking at this picture of Knuckles back in Sonic 3, and I was just kind of thinking like I was thinking that if Sonic if Knuckles is in the Sonic 2 movie, I kind of feel a little way about it. I just kind of feel it's not detrimental, but I feel some kind of way about it because Knuckles wasn't in Sonic 2. Now I get that they had Robotnik in the first one. They don't want to rehash the same bad guy, even though they could put Mecha Sonic in it because um he was in 2, but it was like a Metal Sonic. It's not the Sonic CD version of the Mecha Sonic. But anyway, so I kind of get that. So they're trying to put Knuckles in 2, even though he was in 3. But I don't want to hear no shit of somebody saying like, oh, but if you do the lock on technology, narratively speaking, Knuckles wasn't in it. He was just there. He was just they just added him in there. But his story didn't officially start until Sonic 3. And I'm just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll have some nutsacks sitting up there acting like they know what they're talking about, especially these young nutsacks and shit that wasn't there when the whole shit was going down. Like, you'll have mad dudes. Like some of these dudes I'll be watching, they're kind of like in their mid to early 20s. Like one dude I'm watching, he was born in 95. So around that time, like you had basically the start of the CD era in America. You know what I'm saying? Like with the Panasonic 3DOs, which nobody remembers, the PlayStation 1, where you can get a PlayStation 1, the Sonic, the Sega Saturns, and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like you had that era. But a lot of people that will be saying stuff, don't remember when games was games. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit was is my childhood. Like Sonic, the Ninja Turtles, shit like that. So I was like there when the whole shit was going down. You know what I mean? Like this was like for real to me. It was like that in the Chicago Bulls, the Jordan era, living in Calumet City is a suburb outside of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like this was all my shit. So I was there. Like these people that would be saying stuff about like Sonic and Knuckles and acting like they know shit. Like they wasn't there when the like MTV had the promotional shit about Sonic 3 and Alcatraz. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought that was like the tightest thing ever. Because you hear about Alcatraz and everything, and they had like this promotional setup on Alcatraz, like they were like fresh out the jail alpha male type shit. You know what I'm saying? And it was like people was competing, and I think it was an Asian dude who won, because I think you had to get the most rings in all 3 acts, and I think this dude won. But anyway, and I think he had like glasses. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that type of shit. This was around the time when games was games. Like there was no maintenance that you had to worry about the game. There was no maintenance about the system you had to worry about. You know what I'm saying? It was just like you paid the money, you played the game, and that was it. You didn't have to worry about all this other shit. You didn't have to worry about like people's politics and how they felt about, like they be going on YouTube saying how they feel about the game, like telling everybody how they felt about the shit. Like it's a fucking therapy session. Just play the game and shut up. The only people that knew about how you felt about the shit was your friends. You didn't have to jump on YouTube and be like, oh, like Sonic and Knuckles, the conflict meant like it's all this other shit. And if I could remember, I'm gonna get to that. Like you didn't have to hear about nobody's politics about this shit. It was just a game when games was fun. Even though, in my honest opinion, you could find different things and interpret your own meaning to the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you got some feminism, some feminist chicks like they tired of seeing like Mario saving the princess all the time. It's just I feel the same way. Like, damn, bitch, can't you get a security system? You see this big dude coming in your castle and you can't, I mean, come on, man. You ain't got no panic room. You ain't got nothing. But it's like, yeah, I'm tired of seeing this shit too. Like, how come I'm pretty sure I like Mario, but I like Sonic better. And that'll be a whole thing. But I don't know if there was ever a moment in the Mario game. Like, I usually played the big Mario titles. And I know Princess and Daisy had their own game, so maybe this idea happened. But like, what if Mario got kidnapped by Bowser? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, like Bowser was like, Mario keeps saving the princess, so what if I take out Mario and Luigi, take them out, and then I could get the princess like basically free of charge without nobody coming after me. So let me take out Mario and Luigi, and then I get the princess later. The princess was like, I'm gonna save my dude, and then they like Nintendo took that as a serious like a serious game. Like she had power-ups and shit. You know what I mean? Like that would be what's up. I wouldn't have a problem with that shit. But anyway, but like going back to the whole like Sonic thing and shit, it's just like, yeah, you didn't have to hear about people's politics. You just there was nobody on Twitter saying nothing. You just played the game, you bought the shit, you played the shit, you had fun, you may talk about it with your friends, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't have to worry about like the Chinese government, like even if it was like because this dude is kind of talking about that I'm watching now was talking about Fortnite, and he was talking about the Chinese government. Like you didn't have to hear about that back in the day. Like even though the Chinese government isn't like how it is now in the terms of like making games with what's it called, Tencent, the company or something, Tencent company in China or whatever. Like there was no Chinese influence or nothing, but there still was like games, like these Sega games was coming out of Japan, even though they was some American companies, but you didn't hear like, oh, these Japanese companies like Sega, Nintendo are basically trying to fuck us in the ass, and we got to do something about it. It was just like they made games, people liked the shit, and that was it. And then you play like other games, like that's just nobody was doing all that shit, and it was just how it was. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have to hear about like if you think Shaq Fu was like weak or not. Even though I had that game, we played it. Now you look back at it like the mechanics of Shaq Fu was kind of fucked up, but nobody cared. It was just like you played it and you liked it or not, and that's as far as it goes. But like I said, and then you could like reminisce on like the good times and shit. Like I remember one time when I got like Sonic 3, and my my friend across the street was playing basketball with a couple other friends, and I told them I was gonna get Sonic 3. And I remember like we went after I got it, we went to McDonald's and we got some food and everything, and I came back and I remember my friends was far like running after my car because they left another dude behind. And everybody was following my grandmother's car, like, and I felt like I was Jordan or something. I had my McDonald's, I had my game. It was summertime, I think. I just felt like yeah, like I got this shit, and people trying to come to my house. It's kind of like that. Like I remember that shit. It was good times with no politics. Now, that's why I kind of brought up Fortnite and the Chinese government. Like, maybe some kids will feel like that kind of way about Fortnite, because that's their new thing, where they could reminisce when they get older. But it's not the same thing because it's too much, like, fighting and politics behind every fucking thing now. And then you have, you gotta wait for like Fortnite to do the maintenance. Like you can't play it until they finish the maintenance, or the system is fucked up, and you can't play it until the company like Sony or whatever fix the maintenance. Like you ain't have to worry about that back in the day. You just bought the system, and that was it. You played the game. You bought the shit. That was it. You didn't have to hear or worry about none of this external shit going on somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how it was. But now, like I was saying, now it's just a whole thing to the shit now. Like nobody ever brought this up, but I'm gonna come up with some scenarios. You could literally make Sonic political. You could totally do that shit. And these nutsacks on YouTube and elsewhere would take it and run with it and be making literal conspiracy theories about the shit. Like you could say, since Sonic was blue, he represented the Democrats. Knuckles was red. He represented the Republicans. And since they're fighting, they're fighting. And Tails represented Hispanics because he's brown. They would come up with something else behind that about the two tails, and he's flying to get over the border or some stupid shit like that. It would just be a whole thing about him, like, and somebody will literally run with what I'm saying and be like, yeah, that's it. Dr. Robotnik was a colonizer because he took Knuckles' Master Emeralds from his island to use to like power the Death Egg. And since Robotnik is a colonizer, he took something from Knuckles' land. That is like a possible, like, ooh, I never thought about it like that. But no, I'm just making this shit up. I'm literally making this shit up. But now you have to look at it like with like basically like critical race theory, even though I don't believe it's a theory because white supremacy is white supremacy. But it's still like you would look at it with a critical eye, like, I never thought about it like that. But I'm literally making that shit up. Like Yoshinaka and them that made Sonic, I'm pretty sure they did not think about it like that. They just added something just to be added something to a story. But they'd be like, yeah, Sonic and Knuckles all blue and red. That is Democrats and Republicans and the colonization of Knuckles Island. It's like seriously, dude. No, like I said, nobody was thinking about it like that then. It was just you bought the shit, played it. You didn't put no extras on it. You didn't have to. No, nobody was thinking about it then because this stuff was mostly for kids. The adults just bought the shit. Generally speaking, adults wasn't playing this. So you didn't have like adult ideas on a kid's game. But now you got now you got adults playing games, or people growing up like me that are adults now playing games and thinking about like, oh yeah, this, like, Yeah, how come Princess didn't come out? How come she didn't have a security system that was made by a black chick? But how come she didn't have a security system? Like she just gonna let the man come up in her castle and just kidnap her? You see what I'm saying? Like nobody was thinking about that. It was just people just had fun with the shit, and that was as far as it goes. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Wait a minute. You know what? Fuck it. I need to remember this. But anyway, yeah, it was just like you just had fun times of games and how you played the shit. You know what I'm saying? And then like you got like all these new dudes that wasn't born when the shit was going down, trying to inject their personal feelings about the shit. It's like stop. Like I could. It's just like with the Bulls. Like I said, I grew up in Calumet City in the suburbs. I mean, all black people don't live in the hood. And don't sit up there and be like, oh, you was an outlier because most of my friends was black living in these suburbs. I mean, I had white friends, but before white flight and they bounced anyway. So, we was there with the 90s, like, you know, the Bulls in the 90s era. And then we just we just rooted for them. You know what I'm saying? Like we just rooted for them. But now with the Last Dance, and then the comments that Scottie Pippen made a couple days ago, like now you kind of hear like the stuff behind the scenes about certain shit that went down that a lot of people didn't know or too much cared, because again there was no social media back then for anybody to, like, you didn't have to hear all these like voices about how they felt or making theories about that may or may not be true. You know what I'm saying? And then like what Scottie Pippen said, it was like he was the one that was there working with Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan. So for us to say like, that I don't believe the dude that was there at the time, it just seems like, you know what I'm saying, like you wasn't there, or you wasn't in Chicago, in that Chicagoland area, to hear the news about certain stuff. Like it's like the further you get out of the landscape of Chicago, the less you would know about certain shit unless you were like a sports fan or sports analyst. But like the average fan wouldn't have known. Like, okay, just say if like Chicago fans knew more than outside people outside of Chicago about certain things. But the people that was there obviously know more. And it's kind of like the same thing with these dudes now. Like to come to like a old head like myself about like video games back in the day, like saying like about the glitches. There were hardly, if any, glitches back in the day. Of course, you had like if you hit your system, like or the game, it may glitch, and you see like a stage, like say if you were on Carnival Night and you accidentally hit your Sega, or you might just maybe a glitch on its own, and you'll see like boxes of like different stages, like ice cap zone, launch base zone, or something, you know. But it wasn't like a worldwide thing, like certain games that came out in December last year, like where it's just so broken that it's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing like that. It was like they made the game and it functioned. You know what I'm saying? Some people may say, because I've heard this shit, like somebody said, games now are more complex. Like, okay, be that as it may though, but you're pumping millions of dollars into this shit, and you act like you can't afford nobody to double check, triple check this shit. Like, what? Especially with how advanced everything is, you telling me that you just gonna let the brick go? You forget that analogy, but you just gonna just let this shit go and just be like, nobody's gonna check it, so we're gonna put it out and fix it later. There was none of that shit back then. You know what I'm saying? There was very little glitches that you seen in these games. And some young nutsack talking about because you wasn't born then to see this shit. So you don't know, motherfucker. You just coming up with some little thing that you seen maybe one time, but you wasn't there to experience this shit. You didn't know what it was like to hold a physical like Sega cartridge or some shit, or blowing into the motherfucker. You don't know about the Game Genie, Code Breaker, Game Shark. You don't know none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like now you got motherfuckers trying to get trophies and shit. Like there was no trophies back then. You just played the game, had fun. You rather put the code in or not, depending on how you get down. You didn't have to worry about like trying to brag to motherfuckers like, oh, I got a platinum Sonic 3. Like, so the fuck what? So the fuck what you platinum this shit? Like nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this pressure that you, like, and then trying to brag about it. Like some dude was talking about in this video I saw, he was like, I platinum Spider-Man's Miles Morales. Like, I mean, that's cool. Like, if that's a personal accomplishment, but for these systems to not use codes anymore so people could like play the games regular, it's kind of like I'm not trying to do all that. Like, I don't care about the trophies. You know what I'm saying? Like for those who wouldn't care, you know what I'm saying, should just play the shit like if they want to use the codes or not. But like I made a video about like what was called digital privilege or something. But it's kind of like that, like motherfucker, like you didn't have to worry about that shit back in the day. It was like back in the day, like how rap music, how they say the golden age of rap or the golden age of comic books. Like this Sonic 3 was like the golden age of this shit. You know what I'm saying? It was more advanced than Pong or like Frog or some shit. But it was like fleshed out enough. You know, you had different colors because of like the 16-bit or whatever. But it was just like everything was right. Like I'm not trying to say these studios don't try, but to have the mentality like we could just put out some shit and fix it later, it's just kind of like it's like you're not trying. It has the appearance that you're not trying or you don't care, because it's just like whatever, we want the money. And it just felt like back then, even though back then people wanted money, but it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel so obvious that you're trying to get the money. It was just like you just love making video games or some shit. That's how it felt like back in the day. Like these companies weren't out for money. It was just like we just want to make a game that people love. And you see what I'm saying? That's how it felt. Now it just feels like a cash grab. Like you're not really in it for the love of the art or the love of the game. It's just fuck it, we'll make some shit and we'll fix it later if something's broken. That's not cool. And it's just like even I was thinking about like how like say if these games back then were like how they are now and they just had glitches all over the goddamn place. Like nobody would be fucking with the system that the shit is fucking up on. You see what I'm saying? Like it would have been so like we'll take Sega for instance, since they stopped making systems. Like if a lot of games was like if there was like a cyberpunk of the Genesis era, and it was like games was constantly fucking up on this system, on Sega Genesis, they would have just quietly faded away. They wouldn't have never made a Sega Saturn, because they would have just been like, people would have just collectively but quietly said fuck Sega, and Sega would have just disappeared. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't have heard everybody's opinion of how bad Sega was, and they took the money and ran and trying to make memes about the shit and try to, you know, make little unfunny jokes about the shit. It would have just disappeared with a whimper. Like it would have just disappeared. It just wouldn't have been all this other shit. And then you would have some people kind of co-signing Sega for their bad behavior, like quote unquote bad behavior. Like trying to give this shit a second chance and all this other shit. Like nobody would have been waiting for the shit to get good. It would have just been like, damn, this product sucks. Fuck it. You wouldn't have had a whole like army of nutsacks talking about like we gotta give Sega a chance, and we gotta give like Dynamite Heady, like they gonna get good somewhere. And be like, what the fuck, dude? It would have just been like, this game sucks. It would have just been gone. It just wouldn't have been none of this shit. But now you got people still waiting for this particular game to get good like how it is now. And you're sitting up there like, bitch. And we're still waiting for this shit to give you free DLC where they're struggling to make the base game. Why are you waiting? Why are you waiting for them to give you DLC and they're struggling to make a good first product now? Like that shit really doesn't make any sense. They could barely put out the basic campaign and you waiting for them to get good to give you a DLC. You might as well just stop saying that shit. You just might as well just say fuck it. Just fuck it. And somebody like, oh, they're gonna do a No Man's Sky. Like you didn't have like none of this shit was a thing back in the day. It's rather you got good or you died. And then that was the end of it. It wasn't all this other shit. And then you have a whole slew of nutsacks talking, like agreeing with you. People would have looked at you like you crazy. Because you sitting up there trying to co-sign motherfuckers' bad behavior. It would have just been like, I don't know, Postman. I like that game, but it was mostly an import. But it was just like, if they fucked up, the fuck Postman, you would have never heard from the dude. But you technically never heard from him, but I'm just saying. Nobody would have been co-signing and they wouldn't have gotten popular because of the bad behavior. It would have just like, this shit is trash, and he's done with. That's just exactly how the shit would have went down. But now that's not the case no more. I'm just like, you hearing how people's get down is, and you just sitting up there like, wow. You know what I mean? It's just sad. But again, like I said, like back in the day, like this was like the pure shit right here. Like old 16-bit Sega Super Nintendo shit. But like I said, what do I know? Like, I'm just a dude making a game and been playing games since '89. You know what I mean? So like I said, you got all these dudes now sitting up there acting like they know so goddamn much. No, motherfuckers don't know nothing. I don't care how much you researched the shit one time or read some article one time. It's a totally different thing of lived experience. Where you could say, I seen that shit, or I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was there when there was no esports, and you went to an arcade and played, used quarters, and then if you did get into a Mortal Kombat tournament, all you won was like $100 or $300. I didn't do that shit, but my friend's brother did. He didn't win. I don't think he won nothing. I think he lost, but that was the prize money, like $100, $300, maybe like a free copy of the game or some shit. But you know what I'm saying? Like these young dudes be like, arcades, what's that? You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm kind of like not rambling, but I'm kind of like trying to carefully copy this shit that I just did, and then I'ma finish. I gotta make sure all my shit is right, cause it'll be tragic if I deleted this shit and saved it and didn't copy it. You know, that would be fucked up. But yeah, it's just like, dude. Like I said, this old shit, man. Like I said, this whole Sonic movie, I didn't want to see the original Sonic movie because I kind of feel like they might fuck this shit up. Especially how they like had the first Sonic model, and then people complained. I mean, that's the one time it seemed like social media did good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made them change the Sonic model. And then it was like, I didn't want to see it. They would have probably fucked with the storyline. But then hearing from my friends, they were saying like, this was like a good video game movie. And it was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I haven't seen it yet, but I just kind of didn't want to see it, and it'd be ruined. I'd be like, oh man, y'all fucked up. But anyway, that's all, man. I just had to. I haven't made a video in a while, and I just wanted to see. I just had to get this off my chest. But it's just like I said, I'm not saying that if you wasn't there, you can't speak on it. But don't sit up there and act like you know everything. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with all these dudes on social media and YouTube. It's like, it's just a whole thing. But like I said, this is a totally different experience from lived experience or you just reading up about it. It's just a totally different thing. But anyway, I'm out.